Coming to you live from the McLeod CFO conference. This is the Sultan of Sonar's weekly market update using our Sonar data platform. Hello everyone. Hopefully you guys have a good week. Let's dive into what we're seeing in the freight markets over the previous week. So I think the last week we talked about how the market had really been in a downward trend. There were a few markets that were starting to pick back up, such as Los Angeles, which quickly ticked up after our update. That has since cooled a little bit, but what I want to first talk about is the general freight market in general. Right now I have the outbound tender rejection index for the Chicago market up on the screen. What we're seeing here is a little bit more activity and tender rejections. So they're not going up significantly yet, but this is one of the first signs of life we've seen in the middle of the country in the last several weeks. So something to watch here is to see if this spreads outward into other markets in the middle of the country. It's not unusual to see freight markets on the corners of the country show up with heated activity because the ports and of course the tariff and trade talks and concerns over shippers not being able to get their freight into the country cheaply over the next few weeks is concerning. We've also had reports that the capacity is decreasing by a good bit, I think as much as 20% in the ports. So this is an interesting sign to see the Chicago market right here kind of start to tick back up. And in the United States in general, the story is flat. We are literally flat. I guess the good news here, if you're a carrier, is the market has stopped declining after its typical end of early Q3 July pattern, where capacity kind of slackens a little bit. So there's more, carriers are more willing to honor their contracts. A lot of shippers have shut down, taken vacations, etc. Right now we're seeing that has stopped. I mean, it is literally in a holding pattern the last several days. Not sure if that's going to start to pick back up here over the next few weeks. My thought is that it will have a little bump in it. How long-lived that is another thing, but we appear to be seeing more bearish signals in the freight markets right now. But that's not really the case in the overall economy. So I want to show you a new ticker that we've added this week and kind of give again, I like to kind of go in granular, give a quick kind of day-to-day market, and then I want to tie it into the broader economy. So right now we've added single and multifamily housing starts for the United States. And what I have laid out here is the single family housing start over the top of the multifamily. So the two of those combined give you an idea of what kind of housing start activity. So what does the housing start tell us? It tells us that, when there's more demand for housing, that drives a lot of retail in the economy. So you're going to have lumber, construction costs, or construction production. It's generally an economic indicator that'll tell you what's happening in the broader economy, but it also has a significant impact on freight markets as you see the materials moving through freight networks. It has ticked up slowly over the last several years. As you can see, it's 39% up since about middle of April 2014. It continues to kind of grow. Of course, this ebbs and flows with the rest of the general market, but right now it's still at a very elevated level. We should be getting another report out soon about what that is. Again, these are the housing starts, another economic indicator that we've added to Sonar. So looking at the broader market map, we're seeing a little bit more activity in the middle of the country, as I mentioned, around Chicago and the grain belts and the corn belt and stuff like that. And then we have Little Rock showing heated activity. I want to show you guys what that is right now and kind of break this down as specific use case. So the outbound tender rejection index for Little Rock. So load tenders have increased significantly over the last week, and we are seeing tremendous activity here. So I'm going to go ahead and break that down. And what I found here is that pulling up the reefer tender rejection index in the market will actually explain there's a lot of reefers getting rejected in the Little Rock market. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and break down the Little Rock tender lead time market. So right now it looks like there's a huge lead time jump. The market itself has probably experienced some level of a single event where there's a lot of there's a single unit, a lot of production being pushed into the freight markets. Whether or not this is a long-standing event, we will see. So looks like the conference is let out. So I think that'll do it for this week. Hopefully the freight market starts to pick up a little bit more, gives us a little bit more sign of life in the coming weeks. We will see. Typically it does in August. Thanks, and this is the Sultan of Sonar signing off.